This is High Priestess NightHawk from Heavy Temple, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Well, cool. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So I guess the easiest way to jump in is, can you give us the 2 sentence elevator pitch of Heavy Temple?
Oh shit, man. Yeah, I don't know. We just like to shred, and play what feels good to us, and hopefully, other people think that feels good too. We've been pretty lucky so far, in the response. So I think we're on the right track, but
Right.
I don't know if you like good energy and you like to have a good time, then I would hope that we're the band for you.
Okay. Desert Through the Trees.
Yes.
Has the response been pretty good
Yeah.
so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I was hesitant actually about putting that out as a single, only because I felt like there was part of me that felt like that was kind of the strongest song on the album.
Right.
And I didn't want to ruin the surprise. But I mean, I think if that's this album is kind of it's got a couple different things going on. And I think that song is representative, just like one vibe of the record.
Besides the heaviness and the grooviness or whatever, there's also a pretty heavy message going on through these songs as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting to be asked questions and seeing that like people, I guess, are actually paying attention,
right,
to what it is that I'm saying, and it's the lyrics are more, I'm just kind of drawing from personal experience, because I had been very unhappy in relationships, and I guess I kind of just like, I figured out why that was. I figured out what was missing, and then I met someone who kind of like ticked all those boxes, and this person was the one who showed me that Angela Carter story. So as I was writing lyrics for the album, lyrics always come last. I work best under pressure.
Right.
So I literally just wrote lyrics 2 days ago, or
seriously,
like 3 days ago for a show that we had on Saturday.
Really?
Or yeah, whatever. Yeah. So but when I was kind of trying to craft these, I was like, okay, like this sort of the story of like how we met, and these little personal experiences. The theme of the album came together really well. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, as much as I don't want to talk about being a woman, it's just one of those things that you end up talking about anyway. But I'm really pleased at the reception that the theme of the album has gotten. And gender aside, it's just you gotta get those things that make you happy.
Yeah. So what's it like putting yourself and making yourself that vulnerable and throwing all that personal stuff into your songs? Obviously it's got to be scary at first, but then when you connect with somebody, that must be the ultimate, right?
Yeah. And in talking to people about the theme of the album and like some of the lyrics, because they're some of them are a little bit tongue in cheek, some of them are a little bit more disguised. But I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and I said I feel kind of weird like writing love songs in this genre, right. Because it's not about like dragons or like wizards or weed, right. Which are all totally awesome. And he was like, so you decided to write an album about wolves? And I said, that's a fair point. So, you know, it's an interesting juxtaposition of feeling like you're kind of out there and you've like exposed to parts of your your inner workings or whatever.
Right.
Um, but again, you know, you meet people and you talk to them and they resonate with something that you've said, and that kind of makes it like, you know, there's always a thought like, am I the only person that feels this way?
Right.
With anything.
Sure.
And then you realize that you're not. And so it just kind of makes everything a little bit easier.
Do you
a little less intimidating.
I know you said you write to the last minute, but do you find it cathartic even when you're rushing like that? Do you find like you're
I mean, I think sometimes what happens is like I know what I want to write about and I'm almost like pushing myself a little too hard. So I get kind of like lost in the sauce and then I have to take a step back. And then usually when I come back and write things like really quickly, that's when I'm like, oh shit, yeah, and I should say this and I can say that and I
Right.
you know, whatever. But yeah, like these two new songs, unreleased songs that we played on Saturday, I think I just wrote words for them on like Thursday or Friday. And I was like, man, like some of these lyrics are really good.
You seem like you're surprised. Right.
I definitely consider myself more of like a musician than a lyricist, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Like there are some bands that just the lyric writing is so good. And I think they're more of like an afterthought for me, but that's not to say that I don't care about what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, I don't craft quite as handily as someone like Josh Homme or, you know, Josh Homme is the only person that comes to mind.
Okay. I know you said you referred to it a couple times. You guys have played. What's it like finally playing after so long of being not on the stage?
You know, I honestly, I think at this point was more worried about being around people. And not worried, but it's just, you know, we've all been like
Conditioned.
Well, we've been locked up for, you know, a year and a half. I mean, Philly's been pretty, you know, we've made best friends with our neighbors. So now like our whole block is just a squad.
Sure.
You know, so it's not like we haven't been doing anything. We've been practicing, you know, we've been seeing friends here and there, but to have like in that setting, it's like, oh, like what's going to happen, you know?
Right.
And then just watching people kind of file in all day and like not wearing masks, which is legit because they're vaccinated and it's outside, but it's like still weird because I'm like, I don't know, do I wear it? Like if I don't know if I'm like talking to somebody I don't know, like should I cover my face or whatever. So that was kind of more strange than anything else. But for me, and I think I can speak for everybody in the band, like when we got up on stage, it was like all of last year just never happened.
Just business as usual.
It felt very surreal to be up on stage, but as far as our level of comfortability playing, I think that's probably one of the best shows we've ever played.
Really?
I mean, and it should be because we've been fucking playing in our basement for a year and a half. So if we were worse, if we were worse coming out of the basement than we were when we went in, that would be indicative of a larger problem.
Right.
But no, it was a great time. All the bands were awesome. The energy was like palpable.
I imagine because you know, even as a fan, you want to be at a show. Everybody's dying. You know, all the fans are dying too. I'm dying. I haven't seen one yet, but you know, I've got plans to. There's nothing that's come through Richmond yet, but
it'll happen.
Oh yeah, I mean it's on the schedule, but
oh man, Richmond is we love playing Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond's a good place. Where did you guys used to play? Like
make it down there.
You played here before, right?
Yeah.
Like Strange Matter? Yeah. Gone now.
R.I.P. I know. But I don't know if I noticed that Herbie, who has the Cobra Cabana.
Yeah.
That bar down there, I think it looked like he was kind of doing some live stuff. Well, until that wasn't a thing anymore.
I think the Camel.
I'm not really sure.
I think the Camel's still doing stuff.
Venues.
There's a place called down here called the Camel.
I know I think we've played in Richmond since Strange Matter closed, but I'm blanking on
I'm
where that
thinking maybe
was.
Studio 5. Does that sound familiar?
Oh no, I remember the show we played with Ecstatic Vision, uh, and I could see the bar in my mind's
Right.
eye. It had like a bunch of like horror stuff all over the place.
The Guar Bar?
No, shit, man. It'll come back to me.
It
Probably
doesn't
after
matter.
this interview wraps up. After
Right.
the interview wraps up, it will immediately come back to me.
Right. So what do you have planned going forward? Are you going to be, well, let me back up for a second. The music business has sort of had to reinvent itself, right? Everybody's going to
Mhm.
this like single a month instead of actual physical copies or albums or that sort of
Yeah.
thing. Are you guys going to be doing that as well with, releasing singles as you go along?
That's something that we talked about. And I think everybody's had to sort of reevaluate what they want to do or their priorities as far as being in a band or releasing music, even if you're not planning on playing out or whatever.
Right.
Um, so, I mean, we pretty much have another album written. Uh, so the fact that we like didn't that we couldn't play shows
You took
almost
advantage
kinda,
of that time.
yeah, almost kind of worked in our favor because we were just so hectic and we were like playing all the time, and then we always say we're going to write stuff and we never write anything. And so, we have definitely talked about maybe just doing singles here and there
Mhm.
because sometimes you write something and you're like, fuck it, like I don't want to sit on this for another 6 months. I just want to put it out. And that's what people did that all the time, before I guess before whatever that shift was.
Yeah.
There's always people putting out singles with a B side.
Right.
And especially in hip hop, it's how you stay relevant,
Right.
especially now when people haven't been going to shows. And I think it's still important as shows start coming back, but we're not really like in full swing the way that we used to.
Right.
People still want to hear what you're doing. I think folks who listen to heavy music are probably some of the most like voracious
Yes.
consumers of music. And there's like so much support, and it's such a great scene. That's like I'm always excited when I see that people are putting stuff out.
Yeah.
So whether or not we'll do singles, personally, I don't know, but I think it's a great idea just to keep doing it.
I think, just the last year has made that almost a necessity. Yeah, because without being on the road or anything, you've got to be doing either something like that or live streaming. Have you guys done anything like that?
We've done 3. I think we've done 3. We did 2 live streams for the Mutants of the Monster digital fest that they had, and then we did one for Magnetic Eye a couple weeks ago. And we actually have we're doing a playthrough of the album for Jam in the Van, and that will be that'll be this Friday.
Oh, like in a couple days?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say a playthrough, I'm not familiar. Is that you're going to play the record top to bottom?
Yeah, we're just playing that. So some of the other live streams, we've played songs from our last album, and then played some new stuff.
Right.
But this is just, front to back, Lupe Morris. So that'll be cool.
Are you guys?
We'll see how that turns out.
Are you prepared for that? If you're worried about it in 3 days from now?
No, I mean we pre-recorded it. I just haven't seen or heard it yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be awesome.
Gotcha.
Because the audio and video guys that we have are good at what they do. So we'll see what shakes out.
What do you guys have planned after? What's next for you guys for Heavy Temple?
That's a good question. We're playing Muddy Roots in, I guess that's September. I think we have another sort of local show lined up for next month. Mm-hmm. It was hard to map out because we really wanted to tour to support this album. But it was just it was hard to figure out when stuff was going to open, and things are opening, but they're not opening. Like I don't know if I'd feel comfortable just like booking a tour tomorrow.
Right.
It would be possible, but I don't know. You know, I think we're just going to still kind of play it by ear.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely would like to get back on the road at some point. It felt too good on Saturday
I imagine
to not play. I mean, you know, nobody really wants to load their gear in and out, but playing is the good part. So
there was probably a lot less bitching about loading your gear in and out for that show than there ever was before.
I think you might be right. It's like one of those things where it's
right.
like, oh yeah, like I forgot how much I hate doing that part, but also like I forgot what that even feels like.
And what it means, right? Because it means you're going to be on stage, right?
So I might like begrudgingly be like lugging some stuff up some steps, but it's also like I don't care, really.
Right.
We smartened up and we got a cart with wheels. So
there you go. And you played live.
Not too bad.
Right.
Yeah. No. I mean, I don't. I definitely don't want to give the impression that loading gear in any way, shape, or form was the highlight or low light of my evening.
Right.
I would do it again this weekend.
Oh, hell yeah. Right.
It was really great. It was really great. Good friends, new friends, like music that we haven't heard before. I was like, shit, like this, like I said, it was so weird. I like forgot what that felt like, but then as soon as it started happening, I was like, oh yeah, like this was just yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
We were hanging out and you know, having some beers and listening to our friends play music.
Right. There's nothing like it.
That's
all I've got. Did I miss anything you want to cover?
No, I don't think so. Just, you know, thanks for having me. I hope everybody enjoys the new record, and trying to keep this well-oiled machine going so we can put out some more.
Excellent. Well, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. Stay well.
Oh yeah, thank you so much,
safe.
Bruce. You
Take
too.
care.
Bye.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.